Okay, so
This is the exciting bit, isn't
this
it?
is a really exciting
We've
bit.
got in here no bees.
Just about, I hope.
Yeah.
We'll probably find a little straggler in here in a minute.
Okay.
But okay, before we start extracting and using all the equipment, let me just go through a little bit about how to extract the honey in the first place. Now, I've got here 2 examples of actual honey extractors. Now, one is an electric one is a manual one.
Right.
The manual one really builds up your biceps.
So this is the manual one.
Yes. Now, if I just lift up this lid in a second, there we are. You can see, sorry, a little clasp. If you lift up this lid, you've got little segments in here where you put your frames of honey.
Okay.
All right. Now, they all point in to the actual centre. And what happens is, as you're spinning, this little contraption on the side, as you will, once you've uncapped the honey, all the honey will splatter out on the sides. All right. But, and it is a big but, you are using a lot of manual labour. So as you're using this, you can't be doing anything else.
Okay, so it doesn't saves on electric, but not time.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in a little amateur beekeeper with perhaps 1 or 2 hives, it's fine. Right. If you're a little bit more kind of ground scale, 5, 10, 20 hives, whatever it may be, electrical ones are ideal. All right, now this extractor itself is exactly the same size. I mean, it's still a 6-frame extractor. You can get 20-frame plus extractors, which are just monumental, great big beasts. But I mean, ostensibly the same. So you take off these covers.
So you've got the same grid thing in there that goes round, and you slot your frames in there.
Exactly, and the really nice thing about this, you've got variable speed. Okay. So that is just your biceps. This is a little motor system which just speeds it up.
And would you? I mean, they look quite big. Would you buy one of those, or? Yeah,
you can do. I mean, it'll set you back a few £100 if you want to do that. So it is quite expensive, but it's one of the advantages of being with an association. I mean, for example, I can hire this for £10 with my association. So it's it's a bargain really.
And you're only using it once, twice a year?
Twice a year if you're really lucky. So it makes sense.
And then you haven't got to look after it and store it anywhere, have you?
Yeah, exactly. Tell me about it, because they are pretty big and ugly. So okay, well. What we'll do, let me just explain a little bit about the equipment that you need in terms of to uncap your honey, because before they go in here, they've got to be uncapped. Now, do you remember we were talking...
okay, like the wax capping over each of the cells.
Yeah, this little bit of wax here, it's got to come off. Now, we're not going to put this one in because obviously there's a lot on there, so what I'll do, if I just select...
The best one,
so I'm not going to do that one. There might not be anywhere in this one. No, it won't be enough. No, we won't use that one. Put that one down for the time being. Let's have a look.
Oh, that looks good.
That one all right. We'll do this side. So all you just got to do is you just got to take off the top layer. Now there are many ways you can do this. Now, one way, which is a very simple way, is using this. This is called like an uncapping fork. Now these prongs at the top, all they just do, you're just lifting them out. So you're just lifting the actual capping off. If I just do this here, and this is this very, very expensive contraption I've got here.
Plastic bowl.
Absolutely, and a little bit of wood. So you just balance this on this like here, and all you're doing is you're literally. A lot of people just scrape down. A lot of people tend to do a little bit more care, and what they will do is they just lift off the cap. So they're coming like that, and just lift off, and you can see.
It's quite messy, isn't it?
Unbelievably messy. But you can start to
see. You can now see why you've got this covering everywhere.
I would get shot by my wife if I had it everywhere else. So, and then you just strip it off. So you're just come in, and just take off that top layer. It's off.
Right.
All right. So I'll just do. Let's do a little bit of this one, and then I will give it to you to give it a go. So it's a little bit of a kind of a taxing job, this one. Do you want to have a little go with that and just get the kind of intensity? You don't have to press too hard. Oh
no!
And just lift off. There you go. Now this little pink bowl that you have here, it's still quite important because a lot of people still like the wax cappings.
Oh, okay. What do you use that for then?
Well, people still like to put them on their toast because the wax actually melts off. Some people chew them. It's a variety of different things. The glory of having the the honey and the wax and everything that comes with it is that literally everything that is a product of the beehive is usable.
And is it true that they say if you suffer from hay fever, you should eat honey from your area because the pollen is likely to be in there, so you're likely to be a bit more immune to the hay fever?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these little wax cappings that you've got on here. The consistency of these is such that it's a combination of wax and the pollen of locals. So in actual fact, if you are a hay fever sufferer, rather than having the honey like this, which is extracted, a lot of the hay fever sufferers tend to have the cut comb honey, which we'll come on to a little bit later, where you have the wax cappings and the honey at the same time. Now, what we need to do with this...
Right, handing back to you.
Lovely, thank you so much. Now, there was nothing on the other side, was there? No, and there's actually nothing in there, so there's no honey, so I'm not so worried about putting it in. If there was honey which was uncapped, I wouldn't put it in. So all we just do, we just literally just deposit this. You can see at the bottom there's a little ring. And I just stick this in.
I see, right.
All right, and so then you just fill it up with all the frames that you have. Okay, all done. So it's nice and easy. Now, slightly
Show me the fast way.
A little bit of a crude way now, and this is what a lot of people tend to do, which tends to get a little bit more wax in here. You get a wax and combination, but it doesn't matter because we're going to strain it later. So we just do, you literally just dig in, and you just open up like that. Okay, and you can see that you're doing exactly the same thing, but what you're doing, you are leaving a little bit of the wax in there, which isn't as good, but it's a hell of a lot quicker. Just make sure that's all out.
So if you were going to be entering your honey for the local fete and you wanted to win, you would do it the slower way.
Exactly. Well, I mean, this is the second way of using it with actual, with what they call the wax comb. So just stick that in like that. So it's a little bit messier, but it doesn't matter. It's going to come off. Right, there we are. So
loaded.
All fully loaded, all evenly spaced. I've made sure that if I've got like a half frame of honey, I've matched it as well. Now we just put the tops back on, making sure that's in place. All right.
Right.
And then we go. So if you want, do you want to have a little
look?
Have a look.
I'm not going to get splattered, am I?
I hope not. Right, we'll start it off really slow, and you can see how it starts off.
Right, yeah.
Now I wouldn't start it off particularly fast anyway. I'd just start to pick up the speed gradually so that the frames get used to it.
God, you can smell the honey.
Now, you can start
to
see
I
there
can start seeing it whipping out.
See, it's almost like a spider weaving a web.
It's almost like candy floss coming out, like spun sugar, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's
it's
what
lovely.
it looks like.
Wonderful. And now you really get the smell coming through. Now, what will happen from here, as this kind of picks up and more honey gets splattered out, it'll start to just drop down and it will gather in the bottom of the actual of the extractor. And I did make sure that the little gate at the bottom is closed. So
I was going to say, so there's a drain at the bottom where we get it all out of at the end.
Yes.
Okay.
Unfortunately. Now you can see it really gathering up there now. Now what I'm just going to do...
Just put the top on.
If you could just hold that down there like that for me. So we'll leave this now for kind of like 3 or 4 minutes. Okay, so we're now going to just take this off, and you can start to see the honey at the bottom. Can you see it?
Yes, there's quite a big puddle at the bottom.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? It's where it gets really satisfying.
Is it?
As you start to see what's been going on. It's lovely. And it's almost as nice as when you take that first taste, and you can kind of taste the flowers around. It really is a nice thing. So what it's done is it's taken, essentially, honey from one side of the cell out.
Because it's
going one way. So what we now just got to do, and I'll start on this side, is just literally take them out of that little hole that it is, and turn them over.
So another 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah, another 3 or 4 minutes on that. All right, should we see what we got? Let's have a look. Right.
Wow.
There we go.
Quite a good puddle down there.
That's not bad, is it? Okay.
So these, you're saying you're going to put those frames back in to the beehives, and they'll clean them up, eat the honey, and start using them.
Yeah, these are now termed as what they call wet frames, and the bees just lick them clean. And what they do, they basically just clear it all out. I mean, you can see all the honey's now pretty much disappeared. All right, so that's all gone. That's nice. It's a nice clear frame. So we pop this back in. This is where it can get really messy. So you've got to prepare your area.
Is it on your side?
Right. So let's stick them all back in. And then all I'll do is, I mean, tomorrow morning I'll pop these back on the hive, and the bees will love it. So.
And I guess, you know, while you're spinning the honey, you can start getting ready for other, you know, putting it in, sterilising jam jars and generally getting ready for the next bit.
Yeah, that's the good thing about having an electrical one. It just allows you to do other things at the same time. So, you know, it almost allows you to work independently without, you know, any other help and things like that. So, you know, it's a real advantage. But yeah, it's come up all right, this. Okay, the next step, what we're going to do, once I've done this, is we will be lifting this up onto the counter, and we will then be preparing just like a big honey pot, basically, underneath it. And we will pass the honey which is in the bottom of there. And you can see there's little bits in there at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's not the cleanest of honey. So we've got to filter it. Because it's still got tiny little bits of wax in there. We need to make sure it's filtered out. Now this really helps on a warm day.
Right.
Because it becomes more runny, but it'll go through these. Right, okay. 2 sieves. And you'll be able to see this is a little bit of a slightly wider sieve.
Much coarser than that one's quite fine.
Yeah. You can do it many ways. I mean, you can use 2 sieves if you want to. I mean, other people just use basically just a straining cloth.
Right.
Which is a muslin essentially.
Cloth, yeah.
I tend to prefer this. Now, these actually aren't a perfect fit for my honey pot, but it doesn't matter. You can just hold it over and it'll just slowly
it must be very slow, knowing how thick honey is, it's draining through.
Well, if it's runny enough, you're all right. It's when it's really thick honey, that's when you're
uphill battle.
But right, so let's just put that out. Sorry. Right, now we need to put this all the way up here. Now where's the, we've got what they call the honey gate.
There.
Here we go. Now if I just unplug this, just in case it gets caught, and I should hopefully, lift up. Yeah, it looks like, it's got a lovely smell, I'll tell you. Honey pot, which is, I think, there we go. Right, now, this basically goes underneath. All right, and this will drop out of the honey gate, what they call it, into the sieves, which we've got in here. Slightly rougher one, slightly finer one.
And it should go out really quickly, do you think?
Fingers crossed. I hope it's runny enough. Now, because it's not a massive amount, we might have to tip this forward, but if you just hold it over the top there like that, I'll just undo this little gate.
Don't miss.
No, I hope not.
Oh, look!
There we go. So it's quite a...
quite thick.
Quite a thick honey, yeah. Well, a lot of people do gently heat their honey, especially if they're working with, and they know they're working with quite thick honey. And, you know, that will, it'll just warm it up, make it a little bit more runny. And they were in quite a warm kitchen, because it's got a little bit cooler during the day. I'm just going to stop that. How's that in terms of weight for you?
That's all right.
Is that all right? This is where you really see the difference in your honey, because obviously some honey is so fine. I'll just move this back. Just leave that little bit at the bottom.
Let's see, it's going through. Wow. So this could take quite some time.
It might well do now, yes. Yeah, it's just starting to pool underneath.
Oh, the first drop at the bottom of the bucket.
So I suggest we just leave it half an hour, just let it filter through, and then we'll just come back and we'll just open up the gate and it will be bottled.